Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner, and I'd like to give special thanks to my producer today who's making it happen, Mr. Logan Landers. Today's video is an NFL legend special, Dick Butkus of the Chicago Bears. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. We'll surely appreciate it here on 100 Yards of Football. Dick Butkus, we lost him last Thursday. And when it was announced that he had passed, I thought about a lot of things about Dick Butkus. Me being 63 years old, most of my childhood was in the 60s in Memphis, Tennessee. And most of all, I was very fortunate because the Chicago Bears is my father's favorite team, Mr. Chester Turner, who I'm hopefully is watching today in my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee. He loved the Bears. But when you think about Dick Butkus, you think about he was the first linebacker that really played with an edge, that made you scared, that brought that violence to the game. And that's what I remember about him. I don't remember him being at the University of Illinois. I remember him playing on the Bears teams from 1965 to 1973. Like I said, he was a first-round pick in 1965. He was a consensus All-American at the University of Illinois. In 64, he was a Big Ten most valuable player in 1963. Drafted by the Bears, third overall in the 1965 draft. Played 9 years with the Bears, only played with one team. He was a two-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year. His stats were crazy. Over 1,020 tackles, 22 interceptions, 27 fumble recoveries. Those were some things I didn't even realize that he was most involved in the plays like that. And then I thought about, later on Dick Butkus' years, he played with bad knees. But this is the thing that stuck out about Dick Butkus. Voted into the Hall of Fame and then voted into the College Football Hall of Fame. He played on the Bears team and never made the playoffs. In his career, only had 48 wins, 74 losses, and 4 ties. But at that time, between 1965 and 1970, he was considered the best linebacker in the league at that time. He played on a team that wasn't even winning. You know how special that is to go out week in and week out in the National Football League and not play for a winner and still play at a high level? Still play at a high level? But when I think about Dick Butkus, I always go what the people say about you. Well, people say Dick Butkus was Moby Dick in a goldfish bowl. Moby Dick. We know how dangerous and vicious and devilish that whale was. Then he was a monster of the midways. That's why the Chicago Bears got that name, the monster of the midways, because he was the monster of the midway. Then I always go, the perfect warrior. Warriors, come out to play. Then I think about 2 players that talked very highly of Dick Butkus. One was O.J. Simpson. We know the juice, Hall of Famer, great football player at USC. He said in his 10-year career, the only player that he was literally scared of was Dick Butkus. And Dick Butkus would live forever. He was too tough, too strong as a football player. He was the gold standard of the middle linebacker position, the ultimate Chicago Bear. And think about this. Chicago's had 4 great linebackers in their history: Bill George, Brian Urlacher, and Mike Singletary. Now, for me, I would give a vote to Mike Singletary, but I wouldn't be surprised that Dick Butkus is considered the greatest Chicago Bear linebacker ever, and pound for pound, maybe the greatest player ever. But when I think about Dick Butkus and all the things I just said about him, I'm going to start with the skill set. As I just mentioned, toughness, A+, smartness, A+, instincts, A+, the passion, A+, the leadership, A+. You had to be a leader on a team that you only won 48 games in your 9-year career. refused to accept anything, and still played at a high level because he wanted to be the best. Competitor, A+. Tackling, A+. Wrap up tackler, A+. You want to know what I mean by that? Is that when Dick Butkus hit you, go look at the film on NFL films. It always seemed like when he hit a running back, the running back would not go forward. He would go backwards. He would go backwards. Let me put that up in there again. And then running through the ball carrier, as I just said. One more time, when Dick Butkus, go to the NFL films and look at the game film. When he hit a player, a running back, that running back was stop in his tracks and go backwards. Then I thought about, when I was putting this video together today, how could I sum up all what I just said about Dick Butkus? I said the savage of the NFL. A brutal person Dick Butkus was. An animal force of nature in the NFL. Violent. And as Mr. Mark Denham, a.k.a. Mark Bass, uncontrollable. And finally, a heat-seeking missile. He was the one that turned the linebacker position, the middle linebacker position, into the position it is today. You got to be mean, you got to be athletic, and you got to be built differently. And I'm going to say this in my final words about Dick Butkus, and it came from the words of the great Deacon Jones. Man, I love this. And it put me at a level last night that I just said, thank you, God, I love this game. From the late, great Deacon Jones, this is what he had to say about Dick Butkus. Roses are red, violets are blue. If you get any goddamn sense, you will keep away from Dick Butkus. One more time. Roses are reds, violets are blue. If you got any goddamn sense, you'll keep away from the Chicago Bears, greatest middle linebacker of all time, the great Dick Butkus. And what I like about Dick Butkus, he grew up in Chicago, played football about 2 hours away in Champaign at the University of Illinois, got drafted by his home team, and loved that city at the utmost. We lost a great legend and a great football player last week. Give kudos to Dick Butkus, because he's the one that changed the linebacker position and made people scared. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner, and special thanks to my producer today, Mr. Logan Landers. Y'all be blessed here on 100 Yards of Football.